The samurai spent decades mastering the art of killing with 10,000 hours of sword training. Yet by 1700, most would never draw their blade in combat, not once in their entire lives. So what were they actually doing every single day? Welcome to History Snapshots. This is the story of the samurai's real daily life and what it reveals about the gap between reputation and reality. When Tokugawa Ieyasu unified Japan in 1603, he did something unexpected. He ended the wars. For the next 250 years, the Edo period brought unprecedented peace to the archipelago. But this created a profound problem for the samurai class. Roughly 400,000 professional warriors whose entire identity was built on combat prowess now faced a world with no battles to fight. They couldn't simply be dismissed. The samurai were the ruling class, the aristocratic elite who made up the backbone of feudal administration. So the Tokugawa shogunate did something ingenious and deeply ironic. They transformed warriors into bureaucrats, swordsmen into civil servants, and masters of death into masters of paperwork. The daily life that emerged was nothing like the legends suggest. A typical samurai's day began before sunrise, around 5 a.m. The first hour was dedicated to personal purification and meditation, practices borrowed directly from Zen Buddhism. This wasn't optional spirituality. It was considered essential training for maintaining the mental clarity required of the warrior class. After washing and dressing in formal hakama trousers and kimono, the samurai would perform morning prayers at the household shrine, honoring both ancestors and the clan's patron deities. Breakfast was simple: rice, miso soup, pickled vegetables, perhaps some dried fish. Extravagance was discouraged. The Bushido code emphasized frugality and self-discipline, and even high-ranking samurai were expected to model restraint. By 6 a.m., martial training began. This was the one part of the day that matched the popular image. In the clan's training hall or private courtyard, samurai practiced kenjutsu, sword techniques, repeating the same cuts and forms hundreds of times. But here's what the movies miss. This training was increasingly ceremonial. The techniques were preserved as cultural heritage, like a living museum. A samurai in 1680 trained with his katana knowing he'd almost certainly never use it in actual combat. By 8 a.m., the samurai reported to his actual job, and for most, this meant administrative work. Depending on rank, a samurai might serve as a magistrate hearing legal disputes, a tax collector auditing rice production, a castle guard managing logistics, or a scribe drafting official correspondence for his daimyo lord. The records are unambiguous. Samurai spent the majority of their waking hours on paperwork. One surviving diary from 1687 details a mid-ranking samurai's week. Monday through Thursday were consumed by reviewing land surveys, calculating tax obligations, and mediating disputes between peasant farmers. Friday involved inspecting a granary. Saturday was dedicated to copying legal precedents in immaculate calligraphy. Sunday, his only free day, was spent practicing tea ceremony. This wasn't a betrayal of samurai identity. It was the new reality of what a samurai was. The Tokugawa system required literate, disciplined administrators to manage an increasingly complex state. And here's the deeper pattern. When a society no longer needs warriors but can't dismantle the warrior class, it repurposes them. The Romans did it with their legions during the Pax Romana. The British did it with their officers after Waterloo. Japan did it with samurai, turning martial discipline into bureaucratic precision. After midday, rice and a brief rest, many samurai dedicated their afternoons to cultural pursuits, and this was just as mandatory as sword training. The ideal samurai was expected to master both bu and bun, the martial and the cultural. This meant proficiency in calligraphy, poetry composition, tea ceremony, flower arranging, and often a musical instrument like the shakuhachi flute. Why did warriors spend hours arranging flowers? Because these arts taught the same qualities required in battle: patience, precision, awareness, and the ability to find beauty and calm in the face of impermanence. The tea ceremony in particular became a core samurai practice. The ritualized preparation and serving of tea demanded total presence and mindfulness. Every movement was choreographed, every gesture had meaning. It was meditation in motion, a way to train the mind for the clarity needed in life or death decisions, even if those decisions never came. For lower-ranking samurai, afternoons might also include additional service to their lord, standing guard duty, attending formal audiences, or participating in the elaborate ceremonies that filled the Edo period's highly ritualized court life. Rank determined everything. A high-status Hatamoto samurai in direct service to the shogun might spend his afternoon in political meetings. A low-ranking foot soldier might spend it polishing armor that would never see battle. As daylight faded, samurai returned home for the evening meal, typically around 6 p.m. Dinner was more substantial than breakfast, but still modest. Rice, seasonal vegetables, fish, perhaps tofu. Sake might be served, but drunkenness was considered deeply shameful for a samurai. After dinner came personal time, though even this was structured. Many samurai used evening hours for study, reading Chinese classics, military treatises, or Buddhist texts. Some practiced calligraphy or composed poetry. Others reviewed the day's administrative work or prepared for the next day's duties. What they rarely did was fight. The statistics are striking. In 1629, the shogunate passed a law requiring all samurai to wear two swords, the katana and the shorter wakizashi, at all times while on duty. This became the defining symbol of samurai status. Yet by the late 1600s, these swords were almost entirely ceremonial. A samurai had the legal right to cut down any commoner who showed disrespect, the infamous kiri-sute gomen privilege. But records suggest this was rarely invoked. The sword had become a badge of class, not a tool of violence. By 9 p.m., most samurai were asleep, preparing to repeat the cycle at dawn. So what happened to the samurai identity when the samurai stopped fighting? It didn't disappear. It evolved. The Edo period samurai became something unprecedented, a warrior class that defined itself not by combat, but by discipline, cultural refinement, and administrative competence. They preserved the rituals and symbols of martial prowess while spending their actual lives as bureaucrats and artists. This wasn't hypocrisy. It was adaptation. And here's the lesson that reaches across centuries. When your core function becomes obsolete, survival depends on your ability to redefine competence without abandoning identity. The samurai didn't pretend the swords weren't ceremonial. They made ceremony itself a form of mastery. In your own career, you'll face this exact pattern. The skills that defined your early success will eventually become less central. The question isn't whether to adapt, but whether you can adapt while maintaining the discipline and standards that made you valuable in the first place. The samurai who thrived in the Edo period weren't the ones who clung to fantasies of battlefield glory. They were the ones who brought warrior discipline to the tea ceremony, to calligraphy, to tax collection, who understood that excellence transfers across contexts, even when the context transforms completely. The sword stayed sharp not because it was used, but because sharpening it was the point.